Well, good evening, everybody. As you'd mentioned, our names are Brook and Dan Devenport. We come to you from Mankato, so just down the road a little bit. And hello to everybody that's online as well. Hopefully you guys can hear us okay. We are happy to be here. Thank you for hosting us. We've got a PowerPoint presentation here that's about 8 slides long. So typically in my profession, I have to tell people how long it's going to be so they don't fall asleep on me. So you're going to get about eight slides here. We're going to move through them pretty quickly. The goal today is to share our story, okay? And if after our story, you have additional questions for us, we'll do a question and answer at the end. And then also Brooke and I are both going to leave our cards here tonight. So if you have anything down the road, you want a copy of our presentation, you want to say, hey guys, tell me more about this, feel free, okay? We do not do this for money or publicity or anything. Our goal is that if we can help one of you guys out from having the experience that we had, it's payment enough to us. So do your best to stay awake. I'll try to crack a couple jokes. Every now and then, my wife might even crack a joke or two, and so we'll do what we can to keep. We've been married 13 years. She's Italian and German, and I'm Polish. So she has to tell me when I screw up, because I screw up a lot. So yeah, so you want to step over that side? Yep. We just do on either side here. So slide number 1, first of all, who are we, right? So as we mentioned, Brook and Dan Devenport, we are small business owners. Presently, we own 2 small businesses in Mankato. One of them is Blinds and More, which you may have heard of, and which is why we're here. If you watch TV or anything, my gorgeous wife, you'll see her on TV and also in the ads, right? It's no surprise that they don't put me on TV, right? We also own another business called Devenport Consulting. That's me. I do food safety consulting. But anyway, that's not really why we're here. That plays a little role in our story, but not a big one. So we come to you from a small business owner perspective more than anything, okay? At the time that our hacking issue happened, Brooke was full-time running our business, and I was working at a company down the road called Angie's Boom Chicka Pop. So I was, yeah, thank you. If you liked it, that was because of me. I was a food safety guy. If you didn't, our employees must have had a bad day. So at the time, Brooke was running the business mostly by herself, and I was working full-time for Angie's. And now I'm a consultant, so we both work from home. So as we said a little bit earlier, we are not experts by any means. We're just a couple of people that have been through an issue that could happen to any of us. So we don't come to you guys with any arrogance or any additional knowledge. We're just going to tell you what happened to us, and hopefully we can help you guys out a little bit. So lastly on this screen, I'm sure you guys probably can't see it, but what started out as a personal attack turned into mostly a business attack, which then became a personal attack again. So we'll explain to you a little bit more about what I mean there. Good?
I think we're good. I'm gonna let you all know he is the talker, and doesn't he do a fabulous job? He's loud, and
I am loud. So much like you, I used to be a hockey guy, so I did a lot of coaching, so I know how to yell. And if we have any New Ulm hockey fans, I'm sorry about what happened last night. It wasn't my fault. I'm really not sorry. But, so real quick, brief history about Blinds and More. So we opened in 2008, literally out of our garage, no advertising, no word of mouth. My beautiful bride was already doing it when we met, but really back in 2008 is when our journey began together. In 2015, we added some employees and some infrastructure. So for 7 years, it was just Brooke and I. She sold it, I installed it, that was it, right? So simple. As we grew, we thought we're gonna need some more people, therefore we're gonna need some infrastructure, okay? So what happened at that time is we started utilizing social media for advertising. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that kind of stuff that was free, right, that everybody's looking at. We thought, boy, this is gonna be great. We don't have to pay anybody for this, it's wonderful, right? At the same time, we utilize the iCloud. Is that the right term? Yeah. Okay, so the iCloud, for any of you that are familiar at all, is our ability to put our information out there somewhere, right? It's not on your computer, it's out there. So how great it was for us, created efficiency, the ability for us to communicate with each other when we weren't in the same building, weren't in the same towns. It was an opportunity for us to store information. It was wonderful, right? So we kind of made a lot of these changes in 2015. Our goal at the time was to communicate as easily as possible and as inexpensively as possible, okay? Hopefully it sounds familiar to all of you guys, because that's kind of what our society's turned into, right? We want everything quickly, we want it easily, okay? We're not really worried about anything else. So this is where it all becomes, careful what you wish for. So at that point in time, we threw ourselves out there. This is wonderful, this is great, how easy we can get a hold of everything. and then holy crap, careful what you wish for, right? So far, so good?
So far, so
All
good.
right.
Slide number 2.
Yes.
Number 3.
So real quick timeline of events for us. The remaining slides are going to show you more in depth of some of the horrors that we went through along the way. But real quickly, we're talking about February and March of 2018, okay? So really in January of 2018, the first time anything happened was it started with Brooke's Instagram account. Somebody got a hold of her account and started posting mean things about her on her own account. It became very scary because of some of them are very cryptic with pictures of her that people shouldn't have had. Okay.
No bad ones. Just
No bad, nothing inappropriate, right?
Not flattering ones.
No. But so they're posting things on our Instagram account. It was a little bit freaky.
Photos that I had in my phone. Photos that other people shouldn't have had.
We hadn't shared with anybody, right? So one of our good friends in town is a police commander in Mankato. So I reached out to him right away and said, how freaked out should we be? And essentially what he right away said was, odds are it's not somebody in your neighborhood or across the street doing this. So you're probably not in any danger. But first thing we did is we closed her Instagram account right away and said, this is creepy, we're done. Okay, didn't think anything of it. Shortly thereafter, in February, this person got into our credit card or into our cards, sent us a picture of our kids and their friends via text messaging, and then sent some to our daughter as well. So our daughter at the time, Callie, was 20 probably. She received a text message with a picture of her and her friends where all their eyes were carved out. And it said, tell your parents if they don't pay us, we're going to ruin their lives on social media. Okay, we're coming for you. Okay, imagine, right? Imagine how horrifying this, because you don't know who it is, you don't know where they are, you don't know what they're capable of doing. So that's when it really kind of started to become real for us, is somebody out there is doing something to us, so we don't know why. Okay. In March, Verizon, Brooke woke up to an alert on her phone that apparently we shipped 2 iPads to Chicago. Didn't know anything about it. So found out that somebody got into our Verizon account, bought some stuff and shipped it to Chicago. Okay. So I remember it was like middle of the night, early in the morning, and Brooke really looked at me and said, we've really got a problem here, right? Something's going on we need to really start paying attention to. Okay. And I might not be getting all of the dates exactly right. This was a while ago, but at that time, Brooke literally went into Verizon, spent the entire day in there retrieving our information, putting in new passwords, all this stuff, which we'll get into later. By the time she got home, we were kicked out of our Verizon account again. The hacker just went right back in and said, yeah, you think so? Let me see, let me show you I'm in control. So we had no control over it at that point in time, our Instagram accounts, anything like that. Lost control.
This is where I get into one story I'm going to share. Right about middle of March, I had received a call and it rang up as Verizon. The caller ID said Verizon. And there was this sweet older gentleman on the phone that said to me, I'm giving you a call. You were overcharged $18.20, this last statement, and we just want to credit your account back. That's how he got my password. At first I said to him, well, it seems very odd that you're just calling me to ask me to give me money back, but I knew that I had been overcharged. I had an extra charge. So they were in my account. They were seeing that. Whether they put that charge on there, I don't know. But at that time, they were in my account. He knew that. And I remember saying to him, I don't feel comfortable giving you my password over the phone. And he's like, you really think we're going to call you to give you your money back? Ha, ha, ha. And then he gave me an 800 number to call back. He says, when you feel, just give a call back and have them credit your account. Well, that 800 number is how they got my password, because that was not, it went to the hacker.
And we've got some more fun examples like that for you too, because one of the reasons we want to be here is to give you guys examples of some of the things that happened to us, right? So the fourth and final straw before we really get into the nitty gritty and really scare the heck out of you guys is in early April, Brooke found a large money transfer attempt from one of our bank accounts at Minstar in Mankato. Somebody tried taking $5,000 out of our account to, what was it, a money order or something. They're trying to invest it somewhere. Looks like this wasn't us. So lucky for us, as you guys have here, we had a hometown bank. We drove right down the next morning and said, what's going on here? And that's when they told us we've got some fraud going on. We need to start closing some stuff and starting over here again. So that morning, we also received an email with a picture of Brooke and our dog that was taken that day. So Brooke was out on a walk with our dog, took a picture, whatever, and we got an email saying, see, here, I got you, right? So again, we don't know what the heck's going on. So went to the bank, closed our account, and that was the first time we reached out to the local authorities too, said, we're scared to death here, what do we do? And one of the scary parts about it is the guy on the other end of the line, our police officer in town, said, the problem is this person could be in New York, they could be in Germany, they could be in Russia, they could be in, we'll never know where they are. So we're not going to find them. And that was a really scary deal. There wasn't a criminal for us to find. There wasn't a door for me to knock on and say, stop sending pictures to my daughter, I'm going to kill you, right? Like none of that happened because we were never going to know who these people were. And that is a really, really helpless feeling. Okay. So at the end of the day, it's worth noting on the bottom here, Brooke and I made a conscious choice at the beginning of this that we were not going to communicate with this person. We never texted this person back. We never called them. We never responded to an email, nothing. We wanted them to think that it didn't matter to us so that we weren't scared. And as you're going to find out in a couple of slides here, they asked us for money quite a few times or else. And what we found out later is right around the same time, my brother who lives in Anchorage, Alaska, had the same thing happen to his business. And he paid the people $10,000 to get his information back. 10 grand to get his stuff back with no guarantee that they weren't going to take it again the next day. So Brooke and I decided we're not giving anybody money. We're not giving them the time of day, nothing.
I was just going to say, his brother was embarrassed by it. We didn't find out. He was going through the same thing around the same time. He didn't tell us. We didn't know this had happened until months afterwards, well, after it had happened to us, because he was embarrassed that it happened to himself. He didn't want to say anything. He just paid the ransomer. And they gave him back his passwords, but I don't know that that's.
Well, his information's still out there for the whole world to see.
Someone has it.
Yeah. So it's important to note that Brooke and I never bothered to return anything to this person, right? Okay. So now in April, the world kind of comes crashing down on Brooke and I. Okay. So we've had some weird, scary things happen to us. Wasn't really the worst thing in the whole world, but some things that were like, hey, now that we look back, we're like, we probably should have known earlier.
At that point, it was all personal. It was they hadn't done anything to our business yet. So January through March was everything us.
Yeah. This knucklehead, when he started, called himself the Revolver, and it would send cryptic messages to us under the alias of the Revolver. So me being all cocky, thinking I was some sort of police officer, was going to find this guy. I'm Googling Revolver, thinking I'm going to find this guy, and what a waste of time, but whatever. We thought we had it figured out. So you're going to see 2 slides worth of things that happened to Brooke and I in April of 2018. Okay. So this is when our world pretty much came crashing down. And remember, Brooke's working full time at Blinds & More. She's taking all of our customer calls. She's going on all of our appointments. She's doing all of it. And I've got a full-time job. So all of these things start happening. First thing Brooke found, well, maybe not first, he's probably on sequential order, but we have Marriott rewards points when we, book a hotel where you get points. Somebody went and took all of our points. Okay.
We run our business on it. So we have lots of points.
We pay for everything in our business on our Marriott card, so we get points so we can go on vacations or whatever. They took all of our points. Okay. So we closed our Marriott card. They got into our credit cards, used our credit cards for multiple things. Okay. So once we found that out, we had to go in, change all of our usernames and all of our passwords.
And then they would send us new cards, and then it would happen again right away. Again.
And we'll kind of explain how at the end here.
We would change all of our passwords. They would send us. It happened like 3 times with one card.
Yeah. So you'll be able to figure out the whodunit at the end. There's a smoking gun here somewhere that we believe started all this, but
we still don't know who did it. But.
Right. We think we know how. Ameritrade bank account opened. This was where they tried taking $5,000 of ours and opening an Ameritrade account. So we called and canceled the transaction. But if we wouldn't have noticed, we would have lost $5,000. Twitter account taken over. We talked about that already. They went and took over her Instagram, and then they took over Brooke's Twitter account. So literally, Brooke had no control. They could have tweeted anything. They could have tweeted, "We hate Blinds & More hates New Ulm," and we would have had no control over any of it. It's a very hopeless feeling.
LinkedIn was the big one. Yep. I don't know if you
I don't know if I've got LinkedIn on there.
LinkedIn was the really fun one if you're a business owner or in business, it's good to have a LinkedIn account. They took my profile picture of my LinkedIn and changed it to a picture of me. I had sent it to him as a joke. I had gotten out of the shower. I had a face mask on. My hair was all crazy. It was a horrible picture. They put that as my LinkedIn picture.
So here we are, potential clients, right? Prospective clients going, who are these guys? And there's no way for us to tell the world this isn't us.
Yeah, we can't change
Right?
it.
If you guys were trying to get a hold of us, you would have thought we were crazy. Verizon, we talked about that, the iPad, they tried shipping it. Square, our Square account. So Square is where we process credit cards for our clients. So if you paid us with a credit card, we had no idea at the time if you took our clients' credit cards. So understand what it's like to have to call all of your Blindsmore clients and say, we don't know if somebody took your credit card information. Are you guys ever going to do business with Blindsmore again? Probably not, right? So imagine how, again, how helpless we are feeling at this time. We don't know why it's happening, how it's happening, and we're losing control of our business and our lives all at the same time. Knucklehead went in and made a YouTube channel of my wife. So he showed a video over his shoulder of watching the video of my wife that he made.
Of all of my pictures, the
All
video.
pictures.
He took all my pictures and all my videos that were on my iPhone. Basically just showing us I have everything you possibly had. I used to take pictures of the bankers. At the end of the day, I would take pictures of the deposits I had and I would send them to my accountant to like, this is what I'm sending it, what I'm depositing today. So checks had, they could see the check numbers.
We learned all sorts of things about what you don't take pictures of and send. So he created this YouTube video, which again was really scary because this is a person from behind on their computer and all you can see is the back of his head creating a video about my wife, and it was freaky. So I bolded this one. This was probably the biggest left hook that we got. Is this person got into our GoDaddy account, which is the hosting service for our website for Blinds and More. They took over our website and put lewd content on it. So if you would have called Blinds and More or gone on our website, you would have thought we were involved in all sorts of illegal things that I won't get into right now, right? You can about imagine. And we had zero control over it. Okay, we now lost blindsandmore.com because this person owned it and we couldn't prove that this person was a hacker. GoDaddy wanted nothing to do with us. They said, you can't prove it.
Yeah, they actually went to GoDaddy. That's the big,
Right.
I mean, they were able to go in behind, like that's who you're supposed to buy it from and they're supposed to protect you. And this hacker actually was able to get in their end and make them think they were me.
Yep. So imagine right now, we don't have a website. We don't have a way to take credit cards. When people call or see our website, they don't want to do business with us. And we're freaking out, right? Thinking this person might live in our town, might live in our state, might harm us, right? We have no idea. Of course, we're new to all this, right? iCloud, at some point in time, they got into our iCloud too, took control of that. We will never know what information they took from us. We have no idea. Because now we can go in there and see what's in there. But we have no idea what they took, what they copied, what they duplicated, social security numbers, bank numbers, we had no idea. We'll never possibly know. Multiple extortion requests. The first one was $5,000. The last one was $100,000. And keep in mind, we never responded to this person. Okay, so we never once said you ain't getting your money. Multiple emails and texts to our family members. So I've told you a little bit about our daughter received a couple. We got a few emails along the way of, I'm still here. This is my way of proving I can take care of you. And one of them was, give me money or I'm going to put everything that I have on you out in the dark web and you think I'm bad, wait till the rest of them come and get you.
I'm going to say there's nothing bad about us.
Right. Yeah. No, there's nothing else that you're going to look at to think we're crazy or anything, but
that was the one saving grace is like what was the worst they were going to put out? Some bad pictures of, I mean,
Brooke with a face mask on or.
I mean, we were pretty lucky that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So a note here, increasingly difficult running the business while also being reactive. And I had to take multiple days off of work to be home with my wife. So by now, remember, my wife by this time, every morning is waking up and all she is doing is looking through all of our accounts for strange activity. It's all she did all day, every day for 6 weeks.
We would fix it and an hour later we'd be back.
Yep, that is all she did, okay? So by now, everything frustrating, right? Our world's collapsing. We can't do anything about it. And imagine what the toll that plays on a marriage too, right? Everything we talk about is angry and we don't sleep and our phone dings at, we're pretty sure this person was in Asia somewhere because the activity happened at like 3 in the morning usually. So it's, somebody that during their day was getting up and doing it. So we'd wake up at 3 in the morning and look up all of our accounts and sure enough, we lost everything again. So it happened over and over and over again. Few more things that happened in April before we to get into the goods here is the ongoing quote unquote messing with us. We would get text messages, emails, Instagram almost daily. He would mess with us in some way, shape, or form.
He went as far as getting and stopping our mail. So when they were sending us new charge cards or new banking information, they actually went to the U.S. Postal Service and said that I went on vacation, so that they stopped our mail for 2 weeks. They were in our electric bill. I mean, they were in everything. Sorry.
So no, it's okay. So one of the things that we found out through the process is that there really isn't somebody you can go to. You don't go to the hacker police and then 2 days later, they've got you figured out. Our local law enforcement was awesome, but they were right. They said, Dan, there's nothing I can do for you. Like, I got serious crimes to work on here in Mankato. I can't stop and try to find out who this person is. Even if I could, and I found out they were in New York, what am I going to do? Call the New York Police Department? They're going to go beat down someone's door? Of course they're not. So there really wasn't a recourse for us at the time other than to wipe everything clean and start all over from scratch, everything that we've created. So additional extortion attempts and emails were sent. We continue to ignore him. Growing stress as a couple, understanding that it got to the point that when my phone would ring and I saw my wife's name, I instantly got angry. So imagine what that's like, right? It's not how I want to feel when my wife emails me. Your phone beeps. You're the lump in your throat, like, crap, now what? What alert am I getting now? It overtook every minute of our day. And again, we felt hopeless. So this is when we started opening a new website. We got new emails and new domain names. So at the time, one of our saving graces was our local marketing gal and our local IT guy literally stopped what they were doing every day to help us. So we all took various aspects of our lives and monitored it every day. So they helped us set up a new website. We got rid of blindsandmore.com and had to go to blindsandmore.org and then tell the whole world we're no longer .com. So by the time that happened, how many of you already went to .com, saw crazy stuff in there and said, I'm calling budget blinds, right? Like, how many times did that happen to us? We have no idea. So we had to change everything, emails, domain names, everything. We had to buy all new websites. Appearance of our information changing hands multiple times. It became very obvious to Brooke and I every week or so, the message to us sounded different. The broken English was different. So it became obvious to us that people would buy our information, spend a week trying to extort money out of us. And when they wouldn't get it, they went back to the web and sold it to somebody else. And we found out later that they find out kind of what your net worth is, and that's how much they sell it to people on the web for. And people are out there bidding for information. So we could tell there were different people almost every week knocking on our door, our proverbial door, scaring us.
They had all my pictures and all my family stuff so they could put together a persona of a person.
Right. So a couple more. Constant, meaning daily and weekly checking of our accounts with the support of IT and marketing. Again, every day, Brooke would check certain accounts 5, 6, 7 times a day. She sat at the counter and just did that all day. And then the final or else date. So here's a good one. So on April 30th of 2018, Brooke gets, I don't remember if it was email or a text or what. We got a communication from the hacker. We don't know if it's a boy, girl, man, woman, who knows. The hacker said, here's the deal. You have until May 30th. April, excuse me. You have until April 30th to give me $100,000. Otherwise, your stuff's going out everywhere. I'm done playing with you two. Brooke and I looked at each other. Well, we've gone this far. See what this person has to say, right? And I don't know if this is on a different slide or not, but on April 30th, I'm in Reno, Nevada on site with one of our Angie's Kettle Corn locations. Brooke calls and says, you're not going to believe this. I just got a delivery at her office of champagne, candy, flowers from the hacker saying, you put up a good fight, and it was over. Yeah.
It's crazy. And well, it was on my charge card. I did pay for it.
Well, right. That's on another slide. Funny enough, we wound up having to pay for it, right? So all told, for roughly 5 or 6 weeks of our life, It was complete and utter lack of control over anything. Okay. We didn't know who they were, where they came from, what they wanted, how to get rid of them. We had no idea.
But we did not engage with them.
Not even one time. Yep. Okay. So with all that said, now we get to May. So now the hackers sent our beautiful bouquet of flowers and everything, right? And which we still have at our office, by the way. So in May, we reestablished the new website and all email communications. We spent almost an entire month trying to reconnect with the whole world, basically. Hey, here we are. That wasn't us, we promise. Attempting to take care of clients who either did not hear back from us or who lost confidence in our ability to protect their information. So we're in full-fledged defense mode, okay? Please trust us, okay? We're good people. We didn't do this to you. We can take care of you. Lack of trust in anyone. I remember a story. This poor guy came to our door trying to sell solar energy. There's a solar grid going in Mankato, and he wanted to see if we wanted to be a part of it. And I immediately thought this guy was a swindler. He wasn't. But I wanted nothing. I'm like, get off my property. Get out of here. Like, I didn't trust anybody. I wanted nothing to do with it, right? And to this day, there's a lot of things we don't trust anymore. So they stripped us of that too, right? Like, we no longer have that innocence. Social media blast and special promotions for viewing our site. We had to find a way to get clients back, get people to think we knew what we were doing again, right? So we had to spend all sorts of time and energy on it. Brooke and I just determined by the end of the day, when you talk about lawyer bills, talk about new websites, advertising, marketing, we think this cost us somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000 to start our life over again.
Just in that month.
Just in that. Still not knowing what else we lost or how we lost. That's not counting the customers that we never got because you called us and we never called you back. Word of mouth and encouraging friends and family to do the same, to let people know Bronzemore isn't a bunch of crooks. We're not so bad, really, we promise.
We don't know of we don't know of anybody that ever got taken. I mean, none of our customers, everybody was wonderful. Right. Nobody that we know of that came to us had any issues. So I do want to make sure that that's known.
None of our clients, nobody that paid with the credit card, nothing.
They did not get their credit card information. Square was good about that. They couldn't get their credit card information. So the companies we worked with took care of us. So that was good. I mean, so our customers had reason to trust us.
Right. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of the things that Brooke and I changed and we do differently now, because that's probably the most practical question you guys would have. But one thing that happened instantly for us is we no longer have a willingness to go on public Wi-Fi. We won't. We're sitting at an airport. We will not log into their Wi-Fi. For a while, we thought that we were in New York in October in 2017, and we had a feeling that maybe we logged in at an airport or somewhere, and somebody nearby was able to get in.
Okay. They were in our computer. When does your site tell back?
Not the password one.
We don't, to this day, we don't know how it happened, but we think maybe New York or on a Wi-Fi somewhere, an open Wi-Fi, someone got into us. But at that time, they put a virus into my computer. So from January to March, they were tracking everything I was doing on my computer. Everything.
Our IT guy, when he finally found what was going on with our computer, told us that they downloaded something on Brooke's computer where every time she typed in a password, it would save it. And they were able to go in behind her back and pull out all the passwords she ever entered. And that's how they got in. And we think we traced it back to one email account that we set up when we first got married at Charter for our Charter bill, because everything branched after that. In order to get into Verizon, we used our Charter email. So once they got into that one email, they could get in everywhere.
And then when we would change our passwords, they were finding it because I would change my password and they had.
Hence, by the time Brooke got back from Verizon, they already had the new password because they saw that she changed it. So, and we had no idea. You would never know. It's not a physical thing. You can't see something like that going on, right? So to give you an idea currently where Brooke and I are, in February 2019, we heard from him. We started hearing from time to time saying he hasn't forgotten about us. But for the most part, that was the last time, okay? We aren't getting anything threatening. We haven't got anything threatening since then.
I had accounts open to my name. I mean, after that April, for that, well, I mean, it still happens here and there, but for that first year, I would have accounts open to my name. We have LifeLock. I don't know if you talked about that, but lots of things would still happen, but they weren't actively attacking us the way they were.
There weren't extortion requests or demands, I guess the right word would be. No extortion demands, no nasty emails, no pictures, nothing that was that scary stuff happened roughly after May, or excuse me, 2019. So there were a few, as Brooke explained, there were 5 soft accounts opened in 2019 under our name, meaning somebody was able to go in and try to open an account in our name. But lucky for us, one of the things we'll tell you about, LifeLock came to us and said, somebody's trying to open this, is this you? And by us clicking no, they weren't able to do it. So there was activity of somebody still trying to do some things to us financially in the background.
We have everything
Yeah,
locked up. Okay. That's why I let him talk.
Sorry, don't mean to
let him talk.
Don't mean to yell.
Presentation.
So now currently what we do is we monitor all of our accounts daily and weekly. So Brooke and I literally both have password books. We don't have them online anymore. And regularly I'll go in at least once a week and check all my bank accounts. I'll check all my credit cards. I'll check all my loan statements, everything, just to make sure there's nothing crazy. Okay. So we've started doing that. We get pits in our stomach every time we log into something and it doesn't work, or we get a phone call from an unknown number. Like, how many times have you tried logging into something and it says password rejected, and you're like, oops, I probably did it wrong. You do it again, then it works. Well, every time that happens to us, oh crap, right? Like, now what? Or if the phone rings and it's unknown number, oh crap, who is this? I literally don't answer phone calls anymore if I don't know the number. I don't.
When you have a whole job, that
she has to.
I answer phone calls all day long of numbers I don't know, but it's still.
Yeah, it's scary. Yeah. Oddities do happen from time to time, whether related to the hack or not. As Brooke said, from time to time, some irregularities will pop up. I don't know if that's because of this hacking or not. Maybe people just go through this day to day. But every now and then we'll see irregularities happen. You know, like there was the one time that I opened up my bank account and 1 penny was pulled out. Okay, well, why would somebody do that other than to see if they could? And then the next day the penny was back. Okay, why? I don't know why. Nobody can tell me why. Okay, so little things like that happen every now and then. So of course, as soon as you see that, you change your password, right? But we'll get into password changing and stuff here too. So then also, did you have anything additional, honey? I know this.
I'm waiting to see what's on the next slide.
Okay, so that's currently where we are. However, so now the nuts and bolts. So you guys are here saying, okay, fine and dandy, poor Dan and Brooke, blah, 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 right? So tell us, what kinds of things did you do or do you do to suggest that maybe we could help you guys somehow, right? So these were some of the things that Brooke and I changed in our lifestyle that have helped us protect ourselves. We do not use the same username and password for everything.
Anything.
Guys, when we first got hacked, I had the same password for every account because I wanted it to be easy. I want to be able to get in, right? Literally, when I change my password now, I'll look around the room and see ceiling fan. What's the date today? Ceiling fan 33. That's my new password because I want it to be as random as humanly possible. I don't want anybody to see. My brother used to tell me that he would do letters of the alphabet forwards and backwards. And then every month he would change it, right? So things like that we do regularly, right? Change usernames and passwords regularly. You know, like your bank account, usually our bank, like once a quarter, every 6 weeks, will say, hey, time to change your password. We don't wait. We'll change it once a month, every 2 months, whatever. We don't want somebody catching up to us and sitting there for a month monitoring our activity. So we change our usernames and passwords monthly, at least every quarter, okay? Just so you don't get complacent. Because as hopefully you're finding out about us, if somebody's already in your computer, it doesn't do you any good to wait 2 months to change your password, okay? By doing it today, you might keep somebody out tomorrow, okay? Keep usernames and passwords in a secure location. We no longer save them on folders on our desktop of our computer like we used to do. So I put mine on a share drive that I plug in, update, take out, so I carry it with me so nobody can see my usernames and password. Brooke has a big old thick book that she uses. So nothing online anywhere that you can find it. Or just chime in wherever you want, honey. Okay, we monitor our credit cards and credit regularly. If you don't already, we went to the Federal Trade Commission website and put our information in there. We went to Credit Karma and we went to LifeLock. Put all of our information in there. So if anybody tries to open anything through the FTC, we hear about it. We have a lock on our credit. So if we want to come to Citizens Bank and get a loan, they're not going to give us one because it looks like we don't have any credit. So we have to call the FTC, open our credit, so that Lori can look at it and say, we would love to give you millions of dollars, Devenports. Here it is, right here, right? But we've allowed ourselves to not have that luxury anymore. The first slide told you we took a lot of liberties so that things would be easy and quick for us. Nothing's quick and easy anymore because it's not worth it, okay? LifeLock won't let us do certain things unless we call them and say, open that up for a couple hours, right?
Yeah,
So that's been a godsend. That's how we sleep at night. We stay off public Wi-Fi. I think I told you that. Whenever possible, we use hotspots on our phone. Some of you might have a hotspot on your phone. You might not know what it is, but Verizon allows you to get a hotspot on your phone that is Wi-Fi. So when I'm traveling, I turn on my phone and that's how I connect to my computer. I don't do it through the hotel.
A lot of hotels, and this is what we think may have happened, it'll say like the Hilton Hotel or whatever, but if you have a hacker, they can make it look like it's the Hilton. Have you ever been sitting in a hotel and there's like 8 hotel names and you're like, well, which is the right hotspot for their hotel? Why would there be 8 of them?
Right.
How many of them are fake?
So I see it's 4:40, so I got to hurry up, right? Okay. Shocker, I'm talking too much. Imagine who'll do all the talking on the drive back to Mankato too, probably me, but we don't share sensitive information via text or email anymore. Of course, everybody probably knew this better than the Devenports did, but there were days that one of us would take a picture of our credit card, send it to the other one so they could buy something, right? Like, oh, what were we thinking, right? Or texting, hey, my password is this. You know, like we just don't do any of that anymore. We probably should have known, but we never thought this would happen to us, right? So we don't do any of that. We don't share pictures whenever possible either. Execute due diligence on iCloud or shared storage servers. So one of the many things we did, guys, if you're not already doing it, is a lot of these institutions that you log into, like if you log into an iCloud or LifeLock or GoDaddy, you can put what's called second level or 2-step verification on it. So what happens is you log in and then it sends you a 4-digit code to your phone. You have to type that 4-digit code in to get in, right? So now the only way somebody can hack us on those accounts is if they have our cell phone number or our cell phone
in their hand.
In their hand. So we did a lot of that stuff on like our iCloud or Apple, Verizon, anywhere that will let you. A lot of banks do it now too. Put 2-level verification or 2-step verification, whatever I'm saying wrong. So that's been a godsend. Ensure our kids know what information is where and share what we've learned. So one of the many things that we need our kids to know is if something happens to Brooke and I, this is where all of our information is. It used to just be out there plain as day, but now I have a book in a safe where our kids know if mom and dad die, this is where I find out bank accounts, life insurance policies, all that stuff, because we are a little more cautious about sharing that anywhere else, right? We used to have it on our computer. It's not there anymore. You're going to find it in physical copy in a safe. Think of our business and personal lives in terms of privacy and security, more so than ease of delivering information. So this is where you guys go, wow, is he a good speaker? He just tied back into the very first thing he said, right? So we told you on the very first slide, we wanted things to be readily available and easy to get to. Careful what you wish for. Now Brooke and I are not about quick and easy. We're about security. And we make that, we use that in our thinking all day, every day, and every decision we make. Life's takes a little bit longer to do some things, but that's okay because we sleep better. And if you trust anybody in this world to tell you this, we know that it only takes once, guys. Just one time for one person to get into one account, and you could spend 5, 6, 7 months trying to get your life back. Okay? Not done yet, though. I know you can't wait to clap. So, anything that I missed, honey, before we take questions?
Can't think of anything.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, fire away.
Don't answer. Just delete it. Are you leaving there?
You want to tell them in particular about how emails, how they might look?
Yeah, you go for it.
Okay.
Well, because they can make it look like it's coming from
So
me.
one of the things that we probably should have shared in here is it's not uncommon for you to get an email from somebody you're used to getting it from. Say Charter Spectrum might send you an email and you don't notice that it's spelled incorrectly, or the capital S is a lowercase s, or like that is out there. So to answer your question, if we don't believe it's a legit email, we just delete it. Okay.
You delete it, that's okay, that's not,
As
as long
long
as
as,
you don't open.
Typically, you're not in trouble until you open an attachment or click on a link.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you-
We're no experts, but that's what we've learned.
what I find is when you look at who the email is coming from, it may say it's coming from Brook Devenport, but if you just hover over the email and click on it, click on just the email address, and it'll tell you who it's really coming from. And obviously, if it's not the right email address, delete it. Don't open any attachments until you
I
check
think
that.
you have reason to believe on your phone or on your computer, if you don't open an attachment or click on a link, I think your chances of having an issue are probably pretty slim. Brooke and I once did this presentation, and the guy behind us was a professor at MSU, Mankato, and this is what he did for a living, right? So we're like, oh crap, what do we say? So we look at him and he's like, yeah, you're right. But for the most part, if you don't click on those things, you're okay. It happens to me almost every day.
Gift cards are a big thing. They'll want your gift card. They're not
Right.
asking you for gift cards.
So a lot of emails will have unsubscribe on it. Are you saying don't even try to unsubscribe?
I think you can unsubscribe. I've never been told you can't unsubscribe.
Right. I've never had that experience either. But to unsubscribe, you would have had to subscribe, right? So if it's something that you're not subscribed to already, I would delete it. So let's say that some ESPN sends you an email and says unsubscribe, but you never signed up for ESPN. You have nothing to unsubscribe for, so just delete it, right? No reason to click on that at that point in time. Yeah. Oh, sure. Sorry, guys. It's her fault. Yes.
I get a lot of phone calls wanting me to quarantine. 2,000 warrant.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And they are so polite, they tell me that if I don't want them to call me anymore, you press number 2.
Mm-mm.
I've been told that just tells them to use a different caller ID number next time they call you.
Yeah. It could be a number of things. So one of the things that Brooke and I learned was, if you're not sure, you call them back. Say thank you. I'll call you guys back. Then go Google the number or whatever, and you call the number, the official number. Don't call back the warranty number. Hey, if you got, Brooke had mentioned that earlier too, if they give you an 800 number, don't call them back on that, right? So if you're not sure, don't call them back on that number. Don't agree to anything. But if you're interested in that warranty, you'd then call back the warranty company and get the real company and say, did you call? And that chances are they can say, yeah, that was us, or not, wasn't us. But I would never personally believe anybody on the phone saying, I'm calling to help you out. Like, what does the IRS says? The IRS says, well, we don't call you, right? If the IRS calls you, it's a lie because they don't call you. Right? They're going to send you a letter. So yeah, I would never click anything on those. Sorry, I didn't repeat the question. Okay. I'll get the next one, I promise. Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have one and we won't.
Yeah, so the question is, what about the Series and Alexis of the world? That's over my head. All I can do is give you personal thoughts on that, but I don't want to offend anybody politically. To me, those are just other ways for you to give information away. So it does make life way easier though, doesn't it? Hey, Lexi, close my garage door. Sure, Mr. Devenport, but we choose not to. We choose security over ease. But I'm not here to tell you it's a bad deal. We just don't do it. Yeah. Okay. So the question is, she has all of her passwords saved on the Cloud Key. I can't speak towards how tight Cloud Key is. I know there are services out there that are locked tight. I'm telling you, I'm not putting anything out there. So everything that I've got is hard copy, nowhere on a computer.
I think we've probably just got, I'm sure that it's probably fine. I truly ask your banker. It's probably totally fine. We're just scared of everything. I have so many people that want the Alexa and the Siri, whatever. We don't use them. It doesn't mean that
Right.
we don't know that they're bad. We don't use them.
Yeah, we don't want anybody to lose their business because we're telling you their product is bad. I am sure it's probably fine. I would just tell you that I'm not doing it. But again, I'm not an expert. I'm a food safety consultant, so what do I know? Anybody else? Yeah. Oh boy. Okay. So the question is, how involved is our insurance company? So Brooke and I did not have fraud insurance. We found out the hard way there is such a thing. Are you an insurance agent? Is that what you asked? Are you looking for business? So I'm going to tell you that we found out the hard way we didn't have the right insurance. So there is fraud insurance that we never had. So they didn't do much for us and they couldn't. Unfortunately, law enforcement couldn't do much for us either. But I'm telling you, our local bank went to bat for us. Our local IT people went to bat for us. Our local marketing teams went to bat for us. Our small town bank was awesome, was wonderful. So, but other than that, I would look into, if you're concerned at all, fraud insurance. I think it's like $7 a month or something. It's not even bad.
Who knew there was such a thing as not us?
Yeah, not us. Yes.
All this technology and making now where you and something on. I don't know. The other end of the
Okay, so the question is, if people can get information off of your phones and find out where you are, how can we not find out who's on the other end of the call? I don't know if you're going to talk about any of that. You want me to get after it? Okay. What we found out, again, we're no experts on it. What we found out was there's brilliant people out there that can do a really good job of hiding. And one of the things we found out right away was when we got phone calls, text messages to our phone, they came off of multiple towers. Like one of the towers, I believe, started in India, bounced off of New York, bounced off of Omaha or something, and came to Mankato. Who knows where that person is? Who knows who that person is? So, and we tried on our computers too, and there was no way to trace back to anything. So you need somebody smarter than me to know that, but apparently the people that are out there doing the harm are just as smart as the people catching them. So
We learned that in other countries that people go to a 9-to-5 job, 9-to-5 day job to do what they did to us. Like that's what they do for
there
a
are
living.
teams, yeah. We found out there are teams of people that do this to people. Yeah.
Kind of on YouTube. Scamming the scam. He gives you a lot of information. He actually has a lot of these how hard it is. Left over call centers that were overseas. Most companies eventually realize that and antagonize it. And we get somebody that can't speak. So their call centers are now in the United States. But left all the people that didn't employ, people stepped in because those people were willing, could speak English, very computer savvy. Me, when I get a call and I read that Indian accent, they're always giving me stuff, shadies and things like that.
Well, and I think that we probably all know by now too that there are just a lot of bad people out there doing bad things that want to make money really easily. And the problem is some of them are really smart and they're staying ahead of us. So, yeah.
one husband had a phone call from somebody, got a phone call, what do you want? My husband said, I called Verizon, so Verizon could put a block on your number. I don't want anybody using your number.
You know what?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
They'll put a lock on your phone number so that it won't. You want to repeat that?
Remember that?
That's why you get these calls from.
That's good.
So I feel bad because you guys are starting to ask some technical questions. So a little reminder that she sells blinds. I'm food safety guy. So we are experts about what happened to us, but I would hate to give you guys bad advice. So any other questions about what happened to us, about what's worked for us? I'm going to give somebody advice on what to do, and you're going to lose everything and you'll blame me. It's going to be great.
Our
Anything else?
biggest advice is just be aware. Don't leave here today being scared of everything, but be aware. And if you are using the same password for everything, which I don't know what the percentage of, but got to be at least 80% of the people I speak to use the same password for everything. Don't do that. Definitely change it. Have different passwords for different accounts. The two-step authentication, I think, is a must. And have good relationships with your bankers. I mean, so if you do have an issue, and make sure, if you have questions, reach out and ask.
Don't be afraid. It's a scary world that we live in right now, and all of us want to have the answers. Don't be afraid to reach out and say, hey, is this fraud? Hey, don't be worried about going to your banker and saying, this is a little strange, can you help me here? Or your credit card company or whatever. Because again, we're all vulnerable to this thing. People on the other end are smarter than we are. So if you are concerned about anything or unsure about something, hang up the phone, don't click on it, don't respond, don't call back.
You don't have to be Minnesota nice.
Right.
It's okay to say, take my name off your list.
Yeah, so I think we should probably shut up. But so at the end of the day, guys, just so you all know, we are going to leave our cards here. They're business cards. Not a shameless plug for you to buy blinds. But if you want a copy of our presentation, if you want to email us and say, hey, this happened to me, do you know anything? Like, we're happy to. Again, we don't make money off of this. We're not looking for fame. We just want to help
people.
If we can help one of you guys, then we've done our jobs, right? So there'll be some cards up here if you need them. Otherwise, thank you for your attentiveness. I didn't see one person fall asleep. All-time first, thank you all. Appreciate it.
That's a pretty impactful story that hopefully none of us have to experience. So on the next part of the program, I'm going to introduce Officer Moellenhoeff. I want to thank him for 22 years of service on the Ulm Police Department. Congratulations. 14 years as a senior investigator. So I'm going to turn over to him so he can discuss some more fraud, how to protect yourself in cases. So thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah, thanks for having me. And that's, I'd like to say that Dan and Brooks' story is uncommon, but unfortunately it does happen frequently. Thankfully not in New Ulm. We haven't had anything to that extent where someone's been almost tortured, I guess you could say. But certainly it does occur. So again, like I said, my name is Chris Moellenhoeff. I'm an investigator with the Ulm Police Department. I've been with 22 years, 8 of them patrol, and then the rest all investigations. I also am our computer forensics guy and cell phone forensics guy. So I can answer some questions, I think, hopefully, that you have. And I re-ask them if your question didn't get completely answered. So this is my PowerPoint. It's my outline here. So one thing I will say that I've observed over my career, especially investigating these things, is they are becoming more sophisticated. When you delve into these things, you can kind of track them, but in today's world, it's very difficult to investigate. And even, like they said, you're never going to find the person that's involved. When they are perpetrating their scams, they're bouncing off of multiple towers using VPNs, so it's very difficult to track. I mean, we can track it, but it goes to this place, and then it goes to that place. Then it goes overseas, which we can't do anything about. So they're very difficult things to investigate. And oftentimes when you come to me and you have sent money or whatever's happened, just kind of like what they ran into too, is we're limited in what we can do. And we can knock on somebody's door, get some information, that's not going to be the right person because they've stolen somebody else's information and used it to do the crime. So very difficult crimes. Scams, fraud, identity theft, it's all for the purpose of money. That's what they're looking for, ideally. I mean, some are sadistic and cause a lot more harm, but that's pretty much what they're after is money, okay? And they do that via tricking you, fear, or just stealing your personal information, which happened here in this case. That's exactly what they did. Just by a show of hands, how many have been solicited in some way, shape, or form via email, by phone, some type of scam that you're aware of? Okay, and that's almost the whole room. It's very common. I'd be surprised if you don't have one this year. It's just so common. In New Ulm, I talk to the person that answers the phone every day. He gets 2 calls at least per day on a scam that somebody got. They didn't necessarily fall victim to it, but it happened. Okay. Last year in 2021, we had 42 victims that actually lost money or their identity was stolen. Okay. And I'm sure it's going to be more this year. It seems to continue to go up. So what I want to do is tell you what are the common scams that we see and how they might manifest, or how you might stumble upon them. I think the biggest one that we see, and you probably all heard, is the sweetheart scam. And these guys they seek the vulnerable. They're looking for people that are recently widowed, or looking for someone to date. Just looking for that vulnerable person. Most of these start on people that use dating sites. Not always. It can be an anonymous email that someone answers and then they start up that way. But 9 times out of 10, the ones that I investigated, always comes to some type of dating site that they happen to be on. But it could be Facebook. It could be other ones as well. It can start off in many different ways. The thing with a sweetheart scam is they're invested. Okay, this isn't one that just happens overnight. I've had some that go weeks, months. I've had one that's 2.5 years now, and I can't convince him that it's a scam. He keeps sending money. And I've been to his place several times. And as far as I know, he's not vulnerable as we would classify as a vulnerable adult. But I know that he can't pay his electric bill. Some of his basic necessities, he can't afford, and he's sending all his money to this person. And he tells me she's coming. And I tell him, give me a call because I'd love to visit her. I'd love to see her. So, but we know that's never going to happen. So, but they're invested. I mean, they'll continually talk to you and gain your trust. And that's what they're looking to do, is gain your trust. Because eventually, we all know what happens is that crisis happens. And it's, oh, my car broke down. I need some money. Can you send some money my way? I'm stuck overseas. I need a plane ticket. Can you send me some money? Or, my son's in jail. The list goes on, but it's some type of crisis. And once you've established that trust, your suspicion kind of lowers a little bit. It's like, well, I've been talking to this person for a couple months. It's a real person. I know that. So you send the money. Don't think anything about it. And then this continues for a while until you find out that it's a scam. And unfortunately, Brown County had a really sad one. Obviously, I won't give names or anything, but this woman unfortunately fell victim to this, and she ended up losing over $240,000. And entire savings gone. Her husband had passed away, so it was just herself. And when asked, when did you realize it was a scam? She said, well, I didn't have any more money to give. And the guy left, as soon as they tell him they don't have any more money, then they're gone, so really tragic, real tragic. How they send money, it varies in a few different ways, but it's not typically the way we'd send money if we're going to send it to somebody. But one is Western Union. If you're purchasing something online and they want you to send it Western Union, it's probably not going to be very legitimate. One thing I found too with these scams is when they ask you to send money, it's never to the person that you're talking to. It's always an intermediary. So say I need money for my car, can you send it to the garage? And then they give you a name. And that name and address is what we would term a mule, which is another person that's fallen for a scam. It's a middle person to send the money to them, that gets sent to them, or it gets sent somewhere else. it's part of the washing process. So if you ever run into that and someone wants you to send money and it's not to the direct person and it's somebody else, that's clue number one, that this isn't legitimate. So other ones that we've had, gift cards is a very common one. They'll have you pay and have you go to various stores, buy gift cards, then you take pictures of it, give them the number on the back so that they can take the money off. And that is done very quickly, by the way. I've had cases where literally people have bought them, photographed them, sent the numbers, and then realize, uh-oh, this doesn't seem right. Come and report it to us. And then we try and get the money back, and the money's gone already. It just happens that quickly. So Bitcoin is new as well, and I'm sure we've all heard Bitcoin on the news. They have Bitcoin ATMs now where you can convert cash to Bitcoin. And I unfortunately had a guy in town, he was vulnerable, again, a sweetheart scam, thought it was a girlfriend from overseas, was gonna come over, but there's some issues, so I had to send money to her attorney. And his deal was that money, this is a little bit different, he was actually a mule, but they were sending money into his account, and then he was taking that money and going to a Bitcoin ATM and putting it into Bitcoin. And I'm not going to get into how Bitcoin works, but once it's in Bitcoin, that stuff is so locked down and encrypted that it's gone. You'll never see it again. That's how it's been explained to me. So again, that trust. And it took me the longest time to convince him that he did not have a girlfriend. I don't know who that is. It could be a guy. I have no idea. And many times I talk to people when they're victim to this scam, I'll ask them, so like this gentleman here, I said, well, how do you know it's a girl? Well, she texted me. It's a girl's name. It's like, yeah, okay, I could text you right now and say I'm a girl. So it's not, they don't verify. I've had them where they've actually purchased gifts for them. I don't know, I've had twice where they actually get engaged online, and then one that sent an engagement ring. Via was bought on a stolen credit card, but she actually received a wedding ring. So again, that investment that they have. The other one that we see a lot of is a lottery scam, Publishers Clearinghouse. That never goes away, and that's targeted more for that age group where the Publishers Clearinghouse is really big. I really don't see it anymore. I don't even know if it exists anymore. I think it does, but it's not like it used to be when I was a kid. I remember always seeing the commercials for it. I don't see that anymore, but people fall for that. I would say anytime that you get something in the mail that says you won the lottery, your first question should be, did I enter the lottery? Seems like an obvious question, but it doesn't register. Or any other type of scheme where it's fast money that we potentially could get. For whatever reason, it just creates that excitement, and we start to bypass some things, common sense things, and that we could avoid that scam. Another one perpetrated over Facebook that we had a few years ago, and this goes into stealing people's identity. I had a lady that her Facebook was hacked, or actually I should say her friend's Facebook was hacked. So she started getting messages, which she thought was her friend, saying that, hey, I just stumbled across this cool deal. If you participate in this, I can't remember exactly what the details were, some type of survey or something, you can get $50,000. And of course, it asks for your personal information, and I think they even had to send money as well. This is the one that I actually recovered money on, but she thought it was her friend. Okay, so there again, that trust. And then she sent money, and I think it was even wired. I can't remember which bank it was through, but we were able to actually recover that. And the reason behind that was just the person that went to take the money out of the bank was a mule. I think it was down in Phoenix, if I remember right. And they were just suspicious of the person, so they actually froze the account. So the money was still there. So thankfully she got her money back. And I think it was 80 grand, I think she sent. So anyways, yeah, it's a lot of money changing hands. So yeah, so basically when you're getting those things, just common things, when I get them, I get people to drop those letters off constantly. And if you actually really, really look at them, the English is bad in them. Fonts are, the format is wrong. They're just little subtle hints. But again, if you're excited, and you might miss a lot of those things. The other one is the Grandparent Scam. Anybody gotten that one? Yeah. Again, this one's a fear-based scam, or make you feel worried about your loved one. The interesting thing with this one is that 9 times out of 10, the victim gives the grandparents, the grandkid's name. Because typically when they answer the phone, it's like, "Hi, Grandma. Hi, Grandpa." And then automatically it's, "Oh, hi, Johnny. What's going on?" And then it perpetuates from there. So, and then typically it's always some type of crisis. I'm in jail. I'm in an accident. The biggest thing that to look for is that they always want to keep it secret. That's the main thing, is they don't want you telling anybody about it. Don't tell mom, don't tell dad, because they get mad at me. Just send me the money and we'll be fine. So that's one tall tale sign that that it's a scam. So we do have extortion cases too sometimes. We had one local. Unfortunately, one, and this goes to, kind of gets off topic just with scams, but also sexting. So if you ever talk to your kids, and make sure that they're not posting things that they shouldn't. But we did have locals actually extorting locals for posting certain pictures. So that's another one that we see occasionally. IRS, yeah, you nailed it on the head. They don't call you. If the IRS is ever going to come after you, you're going to get something in the mail, and if it's not that, then there's going to be agents at your door, and there'll be a local officer just to let you know that it's legitimate. So that's how they typically do their business. So, but when they do call you, they do really pressure you. To act quickly, and they want you to be scared and nervous, and think that you have to act right now to resolve the situation. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. So, anytime you get a phone call where you're being pressured like that, again, we're Minnesota nice. It's hard for us to hang up the phone. Just hang up the phone, and be done with them. So, they typically won't call you back. You might get another phone call later on, but they won't call you back. They just move on to the next person. Anybody that uses Craigslist, they still have scams going on. Got to be very careful, especially when you're buying vehicles. Make sure if you buy a vehicle, or any item for that matter, that you're able to go physically view it. I've had people in the past who have tried to buy cars in another state, and then the most popular one is that they get people to send money as well. It's guaranteed through PayPal. Then they send all these cool documents that have the PayPal logo on there. It's like it's guaranteed. If you don't get the car, you get your money back. No, PayPal doesn't do that service. If you send the money, it's gone. And of course, it's Western Union as well, which is another tall tale sign that they're using some type of money management outside of what PayPal would do. So. My daughter's looking for a car, and she checked Craigslist as well. I did a lot of the conversing, but yeah, I had one on there too. It looked like it was a nice deal. Again, the old adage: if it's too good to be true, it probably isn't. And they contacted me. I wanted to talk about the car. The other thing is they didn't want to talk by phone. They wanted to do by text. And of course, immediately they said, "Well, talk to my sister. She's the one selling the car, email her," and then they direct me to there, and it was snowballing from there. So it's like, no, we're done. So, And then identity theft, stealing information. We've all heard of the term phishing. I talked about it, some of the questions earlier. If you receive a strange email, be very careful. If there's a hyperlink in there, you're not going to want to click it. I know some of us are really click happy. As soon as we open an email, we start clicking all over the place. But if it's an email that you don't recognize and weren't expecting, then you really got to scrutinize it and make sure that it's not a phishing email. Because as soon as you click that hyperlink, it's going to bad guys' computers or service, and you may inadvertently install malware onto your computer, and then all of a sudden you've got keyloggers on there, which sounds like what you had on yours, which basically it logs every keystroke on your computer and sends it back to them, so they can monitor everything that you're doing on your computer. That's very common. So you can tell if you hover your mouse over the hyperlink, it'll show you what the hyperlink is. And typically, if it's a lot of garbage, although a lot of the HTML code now is all garbage anyways, but it used to show just a certain email address or a website where it's going to. You can hover and make sure it's legitimate. But again, if it's an email you're not suspecting, then I wouldn't even bother. We do have some times where people get emails from their institutions. I know Citizens at one point was a victim of that. Someone tried to clone the website. I can't remember what year that was, and I can't remember who called me on that. But they had started. It didn't go active, but they had it started. But oftentimes that's what they'll do. They'll send an email with the banking institution's logo on there, and they'll say, "We need you to change your password." I don't think Citizens will ever ask you to, or any bank will ask you to change your password. It's usually when you log in, and then it'll tell you need to change your password. But if you get an email soliciting you to change your password, then that's more than likely going to be someone phishing for your information. Because then you enter that in, then that sends your credentials to bad guy, and then you think that you've changed it, and all you've done is given your credentials to the hacker, and then he can go in and do whatever he needs to do. So. And there are, just to answer the question too, there was a question earlier about passwords. Most of those programs are fairly safe. I use a program called KeyPass. All my passwords are randomized, so it's all googly gob. I only have one password I have to memorize, and then I have all the rest of them listed in there. And I couldn't tell you what they are. I mean, they're just all 1s, 0s, letters, special characters. That's what I use for my password. So most of them are pretty safe that advertise out there. And that's how I would do it. The most common password that I see is password. With the computer forensics, that is. And if you wanted to hide your password, you probably wouldn't want to just put it underneath the keyboard. When you search warrants, you look for the password of the computer. Oh, there it is. It's, yeah. So, all right. Another vector for identity theft are skimmers, and I'm sure we've all heard about those. Those are around. In fact, I just got we call them a crime alert that we get, and I can't remember what city it was from. Is a Metro one, but they're putting covers over the Walmart credit card machine. And it's just, I don't know where they get them, but I mean, it's a perfect mold. It fits right over it. And you can't even tell that it is a skimmer. So you just use your card. It functions just like it normally would, only that there's a little reader on that cover with a Bluetooth radio frequency, whatever, where someone's picking that all up, or it's storing it on board, and then they just come back and get it and download the information. But it's storing every card, all the information on every card that goes in there. So we've also had them in gas pumps. I think to date, Holiday is the only one that I see that actually has that security strip. If you next time you gas up at Holiday, I'm not saying you have to go gas up at Holiday, but they're the only ones I know that do it, or you'll see that strip, security strip, so you know that nobody's been in there messing around with it. But we have had cases as close as Mankato where they've put a skimmer inside, so all cards that have been used at that pump are taken. So restaurants, that's why I see a lot of restaurants that are going to the point of sale at the table. That was another way of doing it. You give your credit card to the waiter or waitress, and you lose sight of your card. You don't know what they're doing. And these skimmers can literally be the size of your palm, you know, and you know, as they're going, they can take it out of the pocket, swipe it real quick, and then they got your information. So a lot of ways that they can get that. And then we kind of talked about the hacking with the keylogger. We've had some cases like that. I had a business in town that, these are for business folks that are watching. We had a lady that on her computer, she did the payroll, did an update for Adobe. This is when there was an Adobe scam going around where you were solicited. And it's kind of, and it was a good scam because Adobe does send out an update link, and then you click it and update it. Well, this one happened to be some malware. So they clicked it on and installed like you thought it would. It performed exactly like it normally would. But then it also installed the keylogger and a bunch of other things. And then they were able to infiltrate their payroll and filter money all over the place. You know, and I remember investigating that one. There's like 3 in Texas, Arizona, Florida, went to people all over the place. And again, those people are mules, and then they turn around and they give the money to somebody else, eventually going overseas where most of the stuff goes. So, and then we've all heard of the ransomware. That was kind of big for a while. You know, I think there's even some Minnesota police departments that got hit with this. Again, you know, when you're on a computer, you got to be very careful of what you're clicking, and know where it's coming from, because it can easily install this stuff. And with crypto, the way that works is it encrypts everything on your computer and then gives the private key to the hacker, so that you can't get into anything. All your information is locked. And if you haven't backed it up, it's gone. And then they give you a call and say, hey, we've got all your information. If you give us 10 grand, we'll give you the private key so you can open it, you know. And then you're at the whim. You can give them 10,000 and they may give it to you. They may not, you know. And typically we advise people not to give money. But some people, that's sensitive information. They don't really have a choice. They really need it. So a plug for backing your information up. That helps, and there's things out there you can do for that. Another one aimed at businesses, again with payroll. We just had one 2 weeks ago. When you're, for businesses that put things online, a lot of them like to put who's what, you know, so this is the CEO, this is the CFO, this is who does payroll, stuff like that. Well, they target that. People actually look at that stuff. And in this particular instance, they targeted the payroll person, created an email that looked like it was an employee and said, hey, I got a new bank account. I need to switch my direct deposit over. And so they email back, okay, we need a deposit slip or a canceled check, whatever, so we can do that in there, get the routing information, email it off. They send it filled out back. Of course, it's with the bad guy's account information. And then the switch is done, payroll comes, and then that employee comes in and says, hey, I didn't get paid. What's the deal here? And then, well, you changed your account. It's like, no, I didn't. This has happened twice. You know, so I guess my message to business people is to make sure, and even as an employee, but mostly businesses, to have some type of policy in place or procedure in place that if that happens, that you're making sure that you actually physically talk to that person and not just rely on email. Again, it comes to ease, just like you were saying. It's so easy just to send an email or a text message, I want this changed. But if you don't physically meet with that person, do you really know that's who it is? So we've had that happen as well. So those are the most common ones that we see. Prevention, again, don't give any information out, especially via the phone, unless you're the one that initiates the phone call, okay? Any legitimate business is not going to ask you for password or user information over the phone that have called you. Make sure that if they do say, you know what, I need to confirm who you are, I'll call the main number, click, and we've had people call us and say they've done that, and they say, no, we didn't call you, that wasn't us. So that I know it does happen. So just make sure you don't give your personal information out to anybody that way. And they are very cunning. So I've had relatives that's happened to, and they said they were really slick on the phone. I thought it was legitimate, you know, and then they realized it as soon as they hung up the phone, and so that was dumb. And then they have to go through the whole process of, you know, monitoring the identity and do all the steps that were mentioned earlier. If you ever feel like you're being isolated by someone, or they're saying don't tell you anything, talk to someone that you at least trust. You know, don't hold this stuff in, because again, that's their goal, is to isolate you and milk you for as much money as you can get. So you know, talk to someone you trust. Again, we talked about the payment methods. Just know how they pay. I mean, unless you normally do Western Unions, I don't know of any legitimate business that asks for payment via Western Union. You know, it's usually always going to be PayPal or credit card or debit card. Okay, it's never going to be Western Union. It's definitely not going to be, you know, the regular gift cards. Thank you. Flew out of my head there. So it's definitely not going to be gift cards. And if anybody's pressuring you, you can almost guarantee it's a scammer, and just hang up on them. So, yep. If you do become a victim, see us, and we'll start the process of reporting it. I cannot guarantee that I can get your money back. That's my first thing that I tell people. It's very rare that I can ever get money back, because the money is literally out the door immediately. And these are teams. You know, you're right when they say they have these rooms. They do. Yeah, it's a business to them. So and they're very efficient at it.
I have one quick question,
Yep.
just for our outlying branches. So if they think they're a victim of fraud, should they call their local police?
Yes.
Enforcement,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Call your local police department, and then they can document it. And anytime when you are a victim of identity theft, when you start talking to businesses and reporting your identity theft, they're almost always going to be asking for either a police report or at least a report number. So you're definitely going to have it reported. So we also encourage you to report on the FTC website. If you visit their website, there's a link on there to report a fraud. That's important in that they do monitor that. So if they see a cluster of things happening that's similar, you know, their agents can hone in on that, and then we can put a kibosh to some of this stuff. But again, a lot of this stuff goes overseas. So.
And I'll just
Better
share
track.
that with the FTC, you can actually get fraud alerts from them at their website. They'll share, you know, the newest things that are happening in the fraud network. And that is in part of your folders. A couple of the things are from the FTC. And for those online, I sent the link, and they are on our fraud webpage.
Perfect. The Attorney General's office also has a lot of good information on scams, how to recognize and what to do. I'd also encourage everybody to check your credit at least once a year. If you go to annualcreditreport.com, that's sponsored by the 3 major credit unions. You can get one from each credit bureau. That way, it's an excellent way to see what accounts you have open. And see maybe some that you didn't open, then we have a problem. But at least you can verify what you have, and that's a good way of doing that. And I also always advise people to reconcile their accounts. Just a quick story, I've had people come in and their bank account was compromised, and in some cases it was like 9-10 months. And you know, just siphoning 20-30 bucks, they didn't even realize it, you know, if they reconcile their account, but that adds up after a while. So if you reconcile monthly, usually you can nip a lot of these things in the butt right away. So just a suggestion. Yeah, the dark web is kind of scary. I'll just mention a side thing on that. I've seen that demonstrated. And it's just like the internet, but it's for criminals. And, you know, the instructor went on a page, and it's just like a page you'd normally see. And this particular one's for credit cards. And it was nicely set up. You could select the region of the card you wanted, the type of card you wanted, American Express, Discover. It was just phenomenal. You know, and they had the prices on the side, you know, how much it cost. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there.
Any other questions? Okay.
All right.
All right, let's give Officer Moellenhoeff one more round of applause, please. Real quick, I know we're running over, but I'm going to turn this over to Jen. She's going to have one thing we're going to talk. We're not here to sell you anything. We're just here to explain what we have for a product in case you're wondering. So here you go, Jen.
All right. All right. I work in client services at the bank. You probably recognize me. I recognize all of you, well, most of you. Just a couple things to touch on what Dave and Brooke and Chris both talked about is always be honest with your bankers. We're not trying to get in your business. We don't want to know that, but we ask you questions to help protect you against these scams. So when you come in and you want certain things done, we'll maybe ask you some questions. We're just trying to protect you. Okay, so try to be honest with us, please. And always verify back with a phone number. You know, when you get that phone call that you're supposed to do something, call the person back on the phone number that you know as their phone number, not the number that they called you from. Also, just a little side note, our ATM does have an anti-skimming device. As you know, when you use our ATM, you put the card in sideways, right? The different way, most of them go vertically. Ours is sideways, and that is because it has an anti-skimming device in the ATM. So, little side note. But I'm here to kind of tell you about a program that is through Deluxe, which is our check program. You all know Deluxe is how we order our checks. They have a program called Deluxe Prevent ID Protect Plus. Again, like Mark said, we're not trying to sell you this. We just want you to know it's out there for you. It's a lot like LifeLock. And how it works is it monitors the dark web for any information that you enter into the program. It will also provide you an online vault to save those passwords in. Like we talked, the cloud key, I don't know what that is, but yeah, but it provides you a safe place to put your passwords online. It does provide you with a certified resolution specialist to manage and help you through any fraud, ID theft cases that you may have. It does complete daily credit monitoring with one of the 3 major credit bureaus. And it will alert you if there's any change to your credit file, meaning if someone tries to open a loan or a credit card in your name, you will get a notification that this has been done, and you can log in and say, nope, this wasn't me, and they will start the process to help you through that. Okay, if it was you, you click yes and you're done. Okay, the cost for this program is only $4.99 a month, and that's per social. So if we have a couple, husband and wife, you would each need separate coverage and separate emails to get started with the program. If that's something that you want to do, you just call in, you can chat in through the online banking, stop in the branch, give us a call, send us an email through the contact us on our website, say, hey, I want to learn more about this Deluxe program with ID protection. And they'll get you to the right people, okay? Yeah, I think that's all I got. And once you're out there, there is other things you can do to upgrade that service. Like I said, they monitor 1 credit bureau. You can purchase to monitor 3 if you wanted. Know that you don't have to do that when you get out there. You're going to be protected with that 1 credit monitoring with the credit bureau. So if you have any questions about it, stop in and see one of us client services or just give us a call.
All right, thank you, Jen. Over 100 people attended this. If you didn't know, and I don't know if they explained this, we also have this on camera. And our branch locations are remoted in with customers in their lobbies also listening and watching. So that's why we're repeating the questions, because we have several people at a remote location also here. First of all, I want to, couple things about this, the fraud event. It happens. It happens to many of us. They prey off emotions, and all the stories we heard are a lot of emotions. One thing about it, don't be embarrassed or afraid to come into the bank or go ask officer for help, because we're here to help you. We're not here to, like Jen said, get into your business. That's all privacy and stuff. But at some point in time, if this ever happens to you, don't be afraid to reach out for help, because every one of us here are here to help you. We have a fraud team at the bank. It is Kathy Drexler, Melissa Bergman, Jen Wendorf, Julie Mathewitz, and Julie handles a lot of this too. Lori Doomer, and Doug and Brian Walker. They are IT guys. They're not related, by the way. I don't know how that happened, but so that is our fraud team at the bank. So we work very, very hard to try to keep you guys protected. So if you need help, make sure you reach out to us. Last but not least, these are not paid actors that you see on commercials. So I want to thank them for coming and sharing their stories, because it really puts an emphasis on how important this is. Also, Lori, I want to give her a round of applause for setting this all up. She's doesn't like to speak in front of public very often. As you can see, she's turning a little red right now, so I'll quit picking on her. But thank you all for coming. If you have any questions, reach out to us. There are several ways to reach out to us, and we'll try to answer any questions you can. Anybody have any questions before we run to the conclusion? Anybody? All right. Thank you all for coming. We appreciate your business, and be safe and take care. Thank you.